The Man in Two Worlds. How fathers perform for everyone but their children. See, there's this performance of strength, the survival versus presence, even the fact that they're men who show up everywhere. They show up everywhere at the games, at the birthday parties. They're so well respected in the community and they're dependable, they're reliable, they're present even in public spaces, but distant, emotionally unavailable, or they're disconnected with their own children. And if you grew up with that, or maybe you are experiencing that right now, that hits different. It hits deep, it hits hard, it hits to the core. And the unfortunate thing is, oftentimes, no one talks about it. But not talking about it doesn't mean that it doesn't hit. Welcome back to Unpacking Me, the parts of trauma no one talks about. I'm your host, Nikki Cameron.
And I'm your co host, Murnell St. Jean. I think this is a very important topic. I think that about all of our topics, but in this season that we have coming up, talking about fatherhood and fathers and all of this stuff, I think it's important for us to really shed light on this topic of the duality that a lot of fathers face
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of children experience in the
Mm-hmm.
home.
And wives
And
too.
wives too.
Who often have to
Wives,
stand in.
girlfriends,
Yeah.
and
Wives, girlfriends, partners,
partners,
right?
right?
Especially in same-sex relationship, right? Where you're
Mhm.
both fathers. One father may be present, the other one's lacking emotionally.
Mhm.
So we have to account for context at all times.
Right, definitely. And I think a lot of it is recognizing that although, and this is something that I'm learning because having a son is very mind boggling in my experience,
Mm-hmm.
because then I have to really take the time and really think through the patriarchal experience.
Mm.
Because I have this child that now I have to kind of
Mm-hmm.
help navigate this rainforest called patriarchy. Eh,
Boy. Bell Hooks has this book. I mentioned it on previous episodes. I'm still trying to wrap it up, called The Will to Change. And
mhm.
it talks about patriarchy. So no matter how much you think you're going to raise your son to not be influenced by a patriarchal system,
He will be.
good luck, sister.
He will
Good
be.
luck. Even you yourself
Mhm.
will unknowingly reinforce a lot of the views and beliefs onto your child. Even though you're trying to not do so, you will unintentionally do it,
Do it.
right?
Right.
But it's important to have that awareness and as best you can educate yourself. And when he is older, also your son, right?
Exactly.
But for someone to think they're not ever impacted by it or will never be impacted by patriarchy, I think is unrealistic.
Exactly. And so, in trying to navigate the world patriarchy, I think it's very important for us to understand that a lot of the time, a lot of men show up in the way that they perform outside of the home.
Mm-hmm.
There's this performance that takes place, there's this showing up that takes place, but it might be, and most of the time, it's a survival response
Absolutely.
in this experience
Absolutely.
that they're having to navigate this world and the pressures of manhood
Mm-hmm.
within, especially this country. And let's take
Yeah.
black men for example.
Mm.
A lot of it is, I have to perform outside the home because outside the home there's so much that I have to deal with,
Hmm.
such as systematic racism,
Mm-hmm.
expectations of manhood.
Mm-hmm.
Not only is there racism coming up,
Mm-hmm.
there's a patriarchal expectation of manhood and how that should show up.
Mm-hmm.
And these pressures require so much. They require them to be emotionally controlled, to show strength.
Mm.
I remember the first time I saw my father cry outside of like church, because The running joke is when we cry in church for the Lord, it's not real tears.
Oh, okay.
But outside of that, when I saw him cry for the first time, I
Mhm.
was taken aback.
Mhm.
It was a shock for me
Mhm.
because all I've ever seen him as is emotionally strong,
Mm.
which is a trap
Mhm.
within itself. And so there's this idea of hyper responsibility also that a lot of these men are dealing with, and that pushes them to those are the things they need to survive outside of the home.
You know what's interesting is that you said they're performing outside of the home. And I want to make note that many perform inside of the home too.
Many what?
Many
Mm-hmm.
individuals, father figures, perform inside of the home,
That's true.
right? The performance isn't unique or only designated for outside of the home in
Mm.
instances. If you're performing outside, then chances are you're performing on the inside.
And the inside.
Right. And I
Mm-hmm.
want to highlight that some more because you mentioned so many great points. The fact that when it comes on to manhood,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of men, especially in the partnership I've established in working with many men, it's I don't show my feelings
Mm.
because then I get told I'm weak
I'm weak.
by my
Mm-hmm.
partner, or I don't want my kids to see me being weak, especially if it's a son.
Mm.
So when I'm at home, I don't know how to put that performance to the side either.
So sad.
And it's a lot of pressure, right?
Yeah.
And oftentimes the performance overrides the authenticity.
Yes.
It's dehumanizing,
Mm-hmm.
right? It causes people to fear being human,
Mm-hmm.
feeling their feelings and being present because you see it being modeled by older men.
Mm-hmm.
You hear it on TV ads, you see it in the movies. It's really ingrained, grafted in the psyche of young boys
Yeah.
or men
Mm-hmm.
of how they should look.
It's
This
mm-hmm.
machismo thing, right? And we talk about even enslavement. A lot of
Mm.
time the emasculating of men, you have to stand by. You can't grieve and watch your
Your
woman and
wife and
children
children be
get
taken,
taken and tormented and assaulted
abused.
right in front of you, and you're expected to toughen up,
Mm.
right? And so a lot of that got transmitted from generation to generation to
Mm.
maintain this tough persona of
Yeah.
being a man. The expectations, we call them legacy burdens, right? Well, I
Mm.
saw my father do it. My father worked two jobs, my father did this, so now I have to do it. Well, my father didn't hug on me and there was no touchy feely. These kids are too soft
And I
nowadays.
survived it.
Well, you might have survived it, but why do your children have to survive it too? Why do they
Mm.
have to survive you not
Not
being
being
emotionally
hugged.
present, right?
There was this back in the day, I think like a couple of years, no, I would say like 6 years ago, there was this young man, and what he would do, he would go into the streets of China, Shanghai,
Mm-hmm.
and he would hold up a sign and
Mm.
he would say, I'll give you a hug.
Mm.
And so many men walked by and asked him for a hug.
Of course.
And it was kind of like it was his way of showing, like, within the culture, we need to hug our sons, we need to hug these men because they need to feel the emotion of the
Yeah.
love of a father.
And if you think about it, if babies die
They
for
do.
lack of contact,
They do.
failure to thrive,
Mm.
right? This just shows how important touch is to humans.
Mm-hmm.
Touch is crucial to
Mm-hmm.
us. The sensory stimulation, the feeling of connectedness energetically and emotionally. It is crucial to our survival. Community is crucial to our survival. But if you're in a community where you're constantly feeling like you have to perform and you're constantly putting on different masks to
Mm-hmm.
show up at home as a man, at work as a strong, tough man, in my friendships, then when are you you?
When do you get a chance to yeah.
When are you you? And I
Yeah.
often ask people, who are you when you're not performing, when you're not pleasing, when you're not rescuing?
Mm.
So, to the fathers out there,
Mm.
men in general, Who are you when you're not performing,
Mhm.
when you're not pleasing, and when you're not rescuing others or even providing? Who are you without the performance?
Mm. Yeah, that's really good because
Yes,
that's the version of you that your children need to see.
right.
Because the way that they experience the you with the fathers when they're performing and all that stuff
Mm-hmm.
is not something that they're going to interpret as, oh, my dad is stressed, oh, he's performing because this is how it is for his survival.
Right.
They're going to see it as, oh, he doesn't want me. I
I'm
don't
not good
matter.
enough.
I'm not good enough, and these things go on with children to adulthood.
Yeah,
It shapes their worldview and themselves, their relationships, how they interact with men in general. It really does have a lasting impact.
absolutely. Absolutely. Or the big one is something must be wrong with me. A
That's a
shame
big one.
based,
The
and
shame.
it leads a lot of people to become perfectionists,
Mm-hmm.
over functioning,
Mm-hmm.
right? The over functioning and the perfectionism, the shame based identity of my father didn't want me, my father didn't see me,
Mm.
so therefore I must not be worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And then that gets passed on in behaviors or perpetuated in how I see myself as a child, what I accept in relationships
Mm-hmm.
as an adult, and how I treat myself, even. Because children can't really stand up to their fathers. So they internalize that as something's wrong with me. So I'm pissed off at me because maybe if I was good enough,
Mm-hmm.
he wouldn't be ignoring me.
And
He wouldn't be rejecting me.
there goes that generational
Yes, yes,
piece of
absolutely.
it. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So
Mm-hmm.
it gets passed on from generation to generation. So there are two things that many people disagree with me on, and I'm okay with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that it is the sole responsibility of a man to provide for a household by himself.
Mm-hmm.
I do not believe that. I think it's unrealistic given society
And the
and how things
financial
have
stress.
changed, financial stressors. If you are well off and you're wealthy and you can do that and you want to, I get that. But to have this established expectations, well, the man is supposed to be the provider of the house, and times have changed,
Mm-hmm.
right? Things have changed. And I don't see anything wrong with carrying 50-50 the responsibilities and you're doing co leadership in the home.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of it stems from, again, patriarchal structure.
Mm-hmm.
Religion plays a significant role in it. And when I listen to a lot of men I work with, the pressure, the depression, the anxiety of
Having
my
to
my
provide.
wife works or my girlfriend works, but when they work, they put their money away. And I'm really struggling. Things are really slow at work right now. And I feel so much shame about
Mm-hmm.
asking for help and saying, I don't have it this month for the mortgage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because of the unrealistic expectations that's placed on the man. I'm not saying you shouldn't do your part, right, as a male figure, excuse me, but to expect that it should only be the man, the provider, no matter what, and then
Mm-hmm.
shame them for
For
it, and
being right.
sometimes punish them by not allowing them to have access to their children, that breeds and can trigger a lot of shame.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes I hear a lot of men are fearful. They want to ask for help financially,
Mm-hmm.
but they're afraid and ashamed
Mm.
of saying to their partners,
Hey,
hey,
can you help
I'm
me?
struggling. Can I help me? Because they were told you don't get to have moments of weakness.
Mm.
You don't get to be vulnerable. You need to not be human and you need to tough it out.
So it makes sense that there is this idea of I have to show up this type of way
Yeah.
if these are the messages that I'm hearing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It makes
Yeah.
sense why there is this idea of emotional absence at time and this part of not knowing how to validate their own emotions if they're being told that they don't get to have
Well, they're
them.
being told that their emotions are
Are
invalid.
invalid. So can I validate my children's emotion or my partner's emotion if I'm being told my emotion is invalid?
So this what we're asking, what I'm saying to you as a man, a father, is, first of all, I want to validate if this is you, if anything that we're
Yes.
saying is appealing to you or
Yeah.
aligning with any feelings that you're having, my heart is sad for you,
Mm.
because it's unfortunate to know that you have had to dehumanize yourself and
Yeah.
not feel safe enough to show up being comfortable and authentic without performing. That is sad. It saddens my heart for you, right? And that is a heavy load to carry.
It is.
And to hear your partner or your children beg you to be more emotionally present, and it feels so unsafe,
Mm-hmm.
right? So just because sometimes people don't understand, just because you want your partner or your dad to be more emotionally present doesn't mean it's something
It's
they can
something they
just
can do.
jump up and do right
Right.
away. If all their lives they have been suppressing what they feel or
Mm-hmm.
pushing the feelings to the side, that is something that actually has to be learned.
Yes. Say that one again.
This is a behavior or a way of being or a state of being that has to be learned.
Mm-hmm.
And it is going to feel very uncomfortable. It is going to feel overwhelming at times and trigger anxiety, maybe even guilt or shame that I can't even show up for my children
The way
the way
that I
I
want
want to
to. Yeah.
emotionally.
Yeah.
And so if this is you, when the shame and anxiety come, meet it with kindness.
Mm.
Meet it with patience and understand that you're learning this new way of being that is different. It doesn't necessarily mean that you're doing it wrong. It's just important for you to recognize that in trying to break up the patterns
Mm.
of the state of being, it is going to require you to be very courageous,
Mm.
very patient with yourself,
Yeah.
go slowly
Mm.
and practice and get the help or support of someone else like a therapist to support you, right?
Right.
Awareness changes everything.
Mm.
And the hardest thing someone could ever do is face their demons. The hardest thing you can do ever do is to face yourself. And when you're used to going, working, and staying busy to avoid the pain that you feel,
Mm-hmm.
and you start to slow down, it will be overwhelmingly terrifying at first.
Mm-hmm.
But look for opportunities to educate yourself, learn about emotions and what
Mm-hmm.
they are and what they do. Learn about your body and how your emotions show up in your body and understanding it more. But this is something tough and
It's
it's
very tough.
hard, but it's
Yeah.
bigger than you. This is a
It is.
system that was put in place that has caused harm. And when a man decides, I don't want to function like this in a harmful way with my
Oh,
children,
that's a lot.
they get
They
laughed at.
get laughed at. They get punished
They
for
get
wanting
ridiculed.
to
Yes.
be different.
Yes. And you have to be courageous in knowing who you are. That's why it's important to take time to figure out who you are and watch your patterns. Ask your partner or your children for feedback. How do they see you being disconnected? What do they see you doing? Don't just assume you know yourself, so you
Mm,
know all
I'm
that
not
you're
gonna
doing.
make right.
No,
You
you
don't
don't
know
know.
yourself.
You don't know what's beneath the surface, the unconscious parts of you that come out in your behavior, because I always say
Mm-hmm.
your behaviors will say what
Which,
your mouth won't say.
mm-hmm.
So accountability as well has to come from you being courageous enough to ask your partner for feedback, ask your children for feedback, and you be honest with you, because
Mm.
denial might be sexy in helping you to avoid, but the denial is not helping. I mean, how is it working for you, right?
It's not helping your family, what you're
It's
trying to
not.
accomplish.
And sometimes it's bigger than just you, the father. Look at your father. How was he
How did he
treated in
show up?
his
Mm-hmm.
in his family by his parents? How did you see him function if he was in the home with your mother? If you
Mm-hmm.
grew up in a household where there was a father figure, what did you see him do that made you either A, know he was present emotionally, or B, that he wasn't there? His body was in the house and he provided, but he wasn't there, right?
Right.
So just because something is normalized that the father needs to be in the home doesn't mean that being in the home physically is enough. Sometimes it's not even healthy.
There's a saying that says just because it's normal doesn't mean it's natural.
Right.
Just because it's something
Right.
that we've seen and is normalized doesn't mean that that's the way things are supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I think we need to kind of really understand that in this instance, that just because we saw it happen with our parents don't mean this is a natural way it should
Or the
be,
healthy
or the
way.
healthy way
Right,
it
right.
should be.
Yeah, and on a nervous system level, if you having to push your emotions to the side and turn it off to survive and perform is what you've always done,
Mm-hmm.
then it makes sense that you would be confused as to who you are when you're not performing,
Mm.
right? And so, question, when you are safest, when do you feel most safe? When? And when you do feel most safe, who are you? What feelings do you allow to come up? Because if those moments are very rare, then that's an indication for you that you might be dehumanizing yourself, not be functioning authentically, just so you can gain the acceptance and be in community
Mm.
and be viewed as a man. You get to define what being a man, what you want being a man to mean for you.
Yes.
You get to decide what you want manhood
To
to
look
look
like.
like for you.
Mm-hmm.
You get to decide that.
Mm-hmm.
You get to take a look at what has been taught to you and make a commitment to relearn
Mm-hmm.
different ways of defining
Being.
and being
Yeah.
a man so that you can teach that to your children, your daughters, if you have any, in terms of what to look for and what is healthy and
Healthy.
unhealthy,
Mm-hmm.
your sons in terms of what
Who
not to
to
do,
be.
right, to
Mm-hmm.
dehumanize themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You get to define that. You get to start by being curious, but you have to be willing to feel what you have been avoiding.
Ooh. Wow.
You have to be willing to feel what you have been avoiding.
Wow.
Not all at once, but you have to be willing to feel it, to shift out of functioning that way.
Yeah.
That's how you start your internal liberation. That's how you start to free yourself from the harmful messages and ways that you've been taught to dehumanize yourself.
Wow. Well, fathers,
Yeah.
it is I encourage you, and we say all of these things out of love because we get to sit with a lot of you guys, and we get to be healing partners with you guys. So we're trying to share what we have learned in our years of experience, that
Hmm.
you guys can have that life that you've always wanted.
Hmm.
It's not about making you feel bad. It's not about it's making you feel any shame. It's about encouragement and helping you to really get to that place where you can be the father, the husband, the man that you want to be.
But start by being you first.
Yeah.
Start by exploring who you want to be as a man
Wow.
first. Start there first and build out around it. Because if you don't know who you are at heart, who you want to become and evolve into, then you're putting on 50 different masks for 50 different people.
Mm.
You're going to be confused about which one is actually you when the mask is off.
Mm. Wow.
Yes. So I am pleading with you. I am challenging you. I
Yeah.
am challenging you to become more self focused. And it's because we have a lot of individuals we work with, especially men who are Christians, and they'll say they're someone of faith. Ask God to help you. Ask God to show you the areas that you need to work on. Ask for divine guidance. Whether or not you're a Christian, ask for divine guidance.
And be open to it.
And just because you're curious doesn't
Me,
mean that
you're
you're
open.
open. You remember who I used to say that to, right? Just because you're curious
Be
doesn't mean that
open.
you're open.
Yes.
And it is going to take work and it can be done, but you have to be willing to feel and face what you've been avoiding, and you don't have to do it alone. This is why you have therapists who are
Yes.
out there. Or if you don't want to take the therapy route, coaches that are life
Yes.
coaches who are out
Yeah.
there. Journaling is also an amazing way. A lot of people say, I don't journal, I don't want to journal.
Well,
Use voice
use
notes.
voice. Mm.
But journaling is so powerful, right? Go outside in nature, turn your phone off, put it away, leave it in the glove compartment for a little bit, leave it on the table, and go outside and sit with yourself and ask yourself, who am I when I'm not performing?
Mm. Wow. Well, until next time, I think this is a good place to close. I don't think there's any more encouragement
Uh,
and challenge that we
uh,
can put forth
I
for our
no,
fathers out
I
here.
just make a commitment to yourself to start being the you want to be
Yeah.
for a change.
For a change. Oh, I like that. I like this challenge that we just put out because usually we're challenging a lot of our female clients and our female listeners.
Mhm.
So this is wonderful that our
Yeah.
listeners get to have this challenge. It's not easy, guys.
No,
It's really not.
absolutely not.
Ha-
Not absolutely not. And rest is your friend.
yeah.
Rest is your medicine. Rest is your medicine. You must rest and avoid as many distractions as possible in your pursuit of becoming who you want to be.
Yeah. And until next time, be kind to yourself because you deserve it.